Good morning, class. Welcome to today's lecture. And today, according to your timetable, is history and civics. So, we were doing the first chapter, democracy, and in the previous three videos, we have already completed its three lectures. And in those lectures, we have studied about the democracy, the further features of democracy, the functions of democracy, and important topics like equality before law and further things. These all things we have discussed. Okay, today will be the last video of the topic of the chapter explanation, and we'll be completing the chapter today. Today we'll be doing democracy in action, democracy in present scenario. We will be doing the types of democracies, and we'll be doing an important topic which is in your course, that is civil rights movement. Okay, so let us start, and let me share screen first. Okay, so we are here. Types of democracy. Like I have told you, like democracy, we have already discussed what is democracy. Democracy is a form of government in which people choose the choose the leader who administers the country or who runs the country, and through universal adult franchise, they are elected by vote, and the majority, the person who gets the majority, is elected as the head of the government, or the we can, in our country, the prime minister of the country. Okay, so let us start the types of democracy. Okay, so we have four categories of democracy, and which you can see in your slide. Let us discuss this. First is direct or representative democracy, direct democracy, and indirect democracy. Okay, indirect democracy is also called representative democracy. So what is direct democracy? Direct democracy means each citizen makes decisions and laws at public meetings or assemblies, typical or classical Greece in our day small organization. Okay, what is direct democracy? It is a type of democracy which is prevalent, which is functioning in small countries, small democratic countries. Okay, in these type of democracy, the people, the common people, they take part in the legislative affairs. They whatever the laws are made, they take direct part in the law making. Okay, like whatever the law is made, suppose a law of you can say of any of suppose any law is made. Okay, so for this, the common people's vote, the common people's view, the common people's choice is also taken into consideration, and the common people also go to the parliament, and they take part in legislative matters, in law making. That means they also give their vote for or against the law. Okay, and on the other hand, what is representative democracy or indirect democracy? It is a type of democracy which is prevalent in large democratic countries like India, like UK, in which each and every citizen cannot go to the parliament. Okay, the parliament doesn't have that much space, that, and it is not possible that each and every citizen will go to the parliament and will vote for or against the law. Okay, so we elect our representative. Different representatives are elected from different parts of the country, and they go and present their views, they present their ideas, they take part in legislative matters, they take part in lawmaking from in the parliament. Like from Gorakhpur, Ravi Kishan is the member of parliament. So we have chosen Ravi Kishan as our MP. Okay, so Ravi Kishan represents our views, represents our ideas in the parliament. Okay, and he takes part in law making also. We as common citizens of Gorakhpur, we cannot go to the parliament and present our views. Okay, that is why a representative is elected from different parts, from different part of the country, and they represent an area, they represent the views of those people, they represent the views of the people of those areas, and they take part in lawmaking instead of those people. Okay, examples of direct democracy are Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, etc. And examples of indirect democracy are, you this is India is an example of indirect democracy. We have representatives who represents ourselves in the who represents us in the parliament. India, we have UK, we have Japan. These are democratic countries which has indirect democracy. Next step of democracy, on the right hand side you can see presidential or parliamentary democracy. Presidential system of government where the chief executive, that is the president, is elected separately from legislative lawmakers. Congress can therefore put him or her account. US is an example. Okay. What a presidential form of democracy in which the chief executive, who is the chief executive head, that is the president, is always the chief executive head of any government or any country. Okay, he is the president is elected separately from the legislative. Okay, like legislative, we have an election for legislative body, like in our country also. In our country we have an election for legislative body, the member of parliament. We have general elections who are elected in the parliament. Okay, so we have one election only for our prime minister also, who is a real who has the real powers, who is the head of the government. He is elected in that same process only. Okay, but cases like in America, there's an election for the separate election for legislative body and a separate election for president or the chief executive head. And on the other hand, what is parliamentary type of democracy? Parliamentary systems such as Spain, where the chief executive president is the leader of the majority of the legislature, so there is no separation of powers. Like I told you, in parliamentary form of democracy, there is no separate election for the chief executive head of the state or the government and the legislative body. An example is Sweden. Sweden has the chief executive head, that is the president. He is also elected among the legislative members only. Okay, and the majority, the person who gets the majority in the legislative body, he is elected as the chief executive head of the state or the government. Okay, now unitary or federal form of democracy. Unitary states full authority in their central government. It can overrule others institution. Always understand what is unitary. It means rule of one. Unitary form of democracy is a type of democracy in which the central has full authority, okay, over the states, and it can overrule all other institutions. This is also a type of democracy. And what is federal democracy? Federal states limited powers to central government. Most powers are developed by individual provinces or states. In federal form of democracy, the central government has limited powers, and some powers are given to the state government also, and state or the provincial government also, and the local government also. Okay, and but in the case of unitary government, all the powers are given to the central government. The provincial government or the local government are not given any powers. Third type of in this third part is mixed type of democracy. As like Spain, one more example of Spain. Spain has 17 autonomous communities, 50 provinces, and their provincial and 2 autonomous cities. It is an example. Like it has some the features of unitary states also, and it has some features of federal state also. Okay. Now, next type of democracy is strong or weak democracy. Weak democracy is a political elite which governs the state. There is a distrust of ability of ordinary people to rule themselves. And strong democracy, where direct participation in political process is encouraged. Like weak democracy, in which you don't find active participation of the common people, okay, in the lawmaking, in the establishment of government, okay, in the establishment of government, in the lawmaking, the participation of common people is not that much prevalent. But in strong democracy, the people's participation are taken into consideration. That is difference between strong democracy and weak democracy. Okay, let us move to the next. Democracy in action, a separate topic given in your syllabus in your book. So let us start this. It is a very important part. Democracy forms a society and economy for proper governance of a government. So what is democracy? Democracy forms a society and economy for proper governance of a government. Yes, democracy. What does democracy do? Democracy forms a society and economy for proper governance of a government. The basis of democracy, such as justice, equality, freedom, and dignity, is deeply interwoven with social, economical, and political life of people. Okay, so the basis of democracy. What is the basis of democracy? What does it do? The democracy is directly or indirectly linked to the justice, the equality, the freedom of the common people. If a country is a democratic country, the common people will have justice, the common people will have equality, the common people will have freedom, and the common people will live a life of dignity. Okay, and which is irrespective of social, economical, or political backgrounds. Okay, which is the social, the economical, the political backgrounds are not taken into that much consideration. Irrespective of these things, the democracy gives justice, it gives equality, it gives freedom and dignity to the people. Okay. Only universal adult franchise does not suffice the need of people living under democratic government. See the first 2 points. Democracy forms a society and economy for proper governance of the government. The basis of democracy, such as justice, equality, freedom, and dignity, is deeply interwoven with social, economical, and political life of people. Okay, the people, irrespective of social, economical, and political life, the democracy provides these things: what justice, equality, freedom, and dignity. And only universal adult franchise. Universal adult franchise. You know what is universal adult franchise? It is a thing on which the common people elect their government. People, irrespective of caste, color, creed, religion, gender, okay, they have the power to vote, and they vote for the government of the country. Okay, that who will form the government. So the person that gets the maximum votes forms the government. Okay, so the universal adult franchise, this provides everybody the right to vote irrespective of social, economical, and political life of people. Irrespective of social backgrounds, irrespective of economical backgrounds, irrespective of political backgrounds, the universal adult franchise provides the right to vote to the common citizens. Okay, but it requires, see the next point, but it requires liberal outwork in social, economical, and political spheres, which lies the root of democracy. Yes, this only the point is talking about, that irrespective of these things, it provides these are the things that it provides. This is the basis of true democracy in the world. Okay, next. Now, next comes social, economic, and political democracy. The use of fundamental right to elect, appoint the leader, or to remove the rulers is called the political democracy. Now we'll be discussing the social, the economic, and political democracy. So what is political democracy? The use of fundamental rights to elect, appoint a leader, or to remove their rules or to remove their rulers is called the political democracy. What is political democracy? So it is a type of democracy in which the common citizens, they use their fundamental rights. The common citizens have got the fundamental rights to elect the government, to appoint a leader, and to remove the rulers also from their position. This type of democracy is called the political democracy. Thus, political democracy is a type of democracy in which the common citizens they use political measures, political machineries to form the government, to appoint the leader, and to remove the leader also. Okay, the common citizens of the country, they use their fundamental rights, they use their rights that they have got through the constitution of the country, okay, to elect the leader, to appoint the leader, and to remove the leader also. Okay, so this type of democracy is called political democracy. In our country, every citizen who fulfills the criteria under constitution may be appointed the leader of the major political party or head of the government. Yes, that we have discussed. Like, we have certain backgrounds which is mentioned in the constitution, which is required to become the prime minister of India, which is required to become the member of parliament, which is required to become the president of India. Okay, so head of the government is always the prime minister in our country. The prime minister is always the head of the government, and the head of the state is always the president. The head of the head of the country is the president, and the head of the government is the prime minister. Remember this. Okay, so what is going on here? In our country, every citizen who fulfills the criteria under the constitution may be appointed the leader of the major political party or the head of the government. Like, the if the person is fulfilling the criteria which is mentioned in the constitution to be the prime minister of India, if he fulfills this, so everybody in our country who is fulfilling those criteria can be appointed as the prime minister of India or the head of the government if he gets the major number of votes. Okay, if his party gets the major number of votes, so that party forms the government. Every citizen who fulfills the criteria under constitution may be appointed the leader of the major political party. Okay, like this time Narendra Modi is the prime minister of India. He has got the support of the people. He has got the support of the MPs. Getting support of the people means getting support of the MPs, because we only elect MPs to the parliament, and those MPs elect the prime minister. Okay, so given our views we have given our vote to the BJP. The maximum people, the maximum citizens of India have given their vote to the BJP, to Narendra Modi. Okay, so Narendra Modi is having the support of the people, the support of the MPs, and Narendra Modi is having means the BJP is having the maximum number of supports of the MPs, and the BJP has won the election. So the leader, that is the leader of the party, okay, the leader of the major political party, like the BJP has, you can say, uh, went into elections on the name of Narendra Modi. So Narendra Modi will be now Narendra Modi is has got the maximum number of votes. Okay, so he is elected as the head of the leader of the major political party and the head of the government. Okay, next, like here what it is talking about, like, so what is political democracy? Political democracy is a type of democracy in which the common citizen of India uses their fundamental rights to elect the government, to appoint the government, or to remove the government. And in our country, anybody who fulfills the criteria mentioned in the constitution to become the head of the government can become the uh, head of the government if he gets the support of the people, if he gets the support of the MPs. Okay, next. Next, civil rights movement. Okay, and another important topic. Before this, let us discuss the uh, this social democracy and economic democracy. Okay, social democracy is a type of democracy in which there is the leaders are elected irrespective of the social backgrounds like caste, color, creed, and religion. Okay, it is a type of democracy in which the leaders are elected irrespective of caste, color, creed, or religion. Okay, and they are elected, they are appointed as the elections are done. The people are also given the rights irrespective of caste, color, creed, or religion. The people are given the democratic rights. The people have the equality. Each and every part of the society, each and every section of the society, irrespective of caste, color, creed, religion, gender. Okay, they get equal rights. They get equal fundamental rights, and they have equal rights to vote for the government. That is the social democracy. And what is economic democracy? Where everybody, irrespective of income, okay, everybody has equal democratic powers. So this means that social democracy is a type of democracy where everybody has equal rights, irrespective of social backgrounds like caste, color, creed, religion, gender. And economic democracy is a type of democracy in which, irrespective of income and opportunities, irrespective of income and the capacity of the person, that person also gets equal number of rights, equal number of powers to elect the government, to frame, to appoint the leader, and to remove the leader. Okay, next. Now, civil rights movement. It's a very important movement which is given in your course. Let us start. Civil rights are the rights necessary to ensure one's ability to participate in the civil and political life of the state without any discrimination. So what is civil rights movement? Civil rights movement are the rights necessary. Sorry, let us start again. Civil rights movement. So before discussing the civil rights movement, we have to discuss the civil rights. What are civil rights? Civil rights are the rights necessary to ensure one's ability to participate in civil and political life of the state without any discrimination. So what are civil rights? These civil rights are the rights which are given to the people, okay, uh, which are given to the people to ensure their ability to participate in the civil and political life of the state without any discrimination. There's a very good example of the you can say civil rights movement. Okay. So what are civil rights? Civil rights. So what are civil rights? Civil rights are the rights which are given to the people to ensure their ability in civil, in participation of the civil and political life of the state without any discrimination, where people are not discriminated on the basis of race, people not discriminated on the basis of caste, color, creed, religion, and they have got the power, they have got the rights to participate. Okay, it ensures the ability of the common people to participate in the civil and political life of the state. Next, it includes equal treatment of all people with respect to protection of law and enjoyment of life, liberty, and property. So what does it do? It also includes equal treatment to all people. It includes equal treatment to all people irrespective of any social background, economic background, or political background. Okay, so it gives equal treatment to all peoples with respect to protection of laws. It protects their laws, it protects their fundamental rights, and the enjoyment of life, liberty, and property. So the people are treated equally. Okay, they are given equal justice, they have the right of equal justice, they have the right of common justice. Like a part of a section of the society is getting the justice and the other section of the society is not getting right justice. Okay, so this is not done in civil rights. Okay, in civil rights everybody has the right to get justice, they enjoy life, the all the section of the society, all the part of the society, they have equal rights, they have the rights to enjoy their life also. Okay, and they live with dignity, with prosperity. Okay, now, like India, many other countries are also struggling for the issue of equality, or issues are also struggling over the issues equality. Okay, so India is a country, we have in our constitution we have got the right of equality, but still in many part of the society, in many sections of the society, still there are some people who are not treated equally. So country like India, there are many people who are struggling for the equality of the common citizens. Okay, next. So here's an example of the United States of America, how civil rights came into force, or how civil rights, the birth of civil rights took place. Okay, a very good example of US. See here, example, in USA, people were divided into two groups of the whites Americans and the blacks African Americans. So in the USA, people were divided into two groups. One were the whites and one were the blacks. Whites were the Americans and blacks were the African Americans. Okay, they were originally from Africa, but they were brought to America. Okay, so they were the Africa, just because of the climatic condition, the equatorial condition, they have their skin color is dark. They have dark, they are dark complexion, and on the other hand, Americans are white. Okay, so in America, the society was divided into two groups. One was whites, and the second was blacks. See the next point. It was because the ancestors, African Americans, were once brought as the slaves from the Africa to America. Okay, like during ancient time, the concept of slavery system was very dominant in most of the part of the country. So the Africans were brought to America as a slaves, and when they were brought to America, they become a resident of America. Okay, so a two group of society was created. One was the whites and the second was the blacks. Okay, African Americans were treated extremely unequally and denied equality before law. So when independence came into being, okay, when the America got independence, there was huge discrimination till a long time on the basis of the race, on the basis of the color of the people. Okay, people were discriminated on the basis of the color of the skin of the people. The people who were having the white color, or the original Americans, they were treated uh, superior than the black color people, who are the African Americans. Okay, and African Americans were treated very inhumanly as compared to the whites. Okay, see it. African Americans were treated extremely unequally and denied equality before law. They had no civil rights, civil or political rights. Okay, how so? They were not getting they were denied equality before law. They were not given equality as compared to the whites. Okay, and they had no civil or political rights also. For example, they had to sit at the back of the bus while traveling. So if if the kinds of ill treatment that was given to them, the kind of bad treatment that was given to them, are given in this slide. Like in the buses, what the whites were doing, like the blacks were given the back seats and the whites were given the front seats. Okay, and suppose if a white person is coming, if the front seat was full and the white person was coming at the back seat, so the blacks have to, the African Americans, they had to leave their seats for the whites. This kind of discrimination was there in America. Okay, like they had to sit at the back of the bus while traveling, and if the seats was full, they were sitting at the back, and suppose the seats were full in the front, and the white people, they when they used to come to sit at the back, so they were forced to vacate the seat. Okay, the Africans were forced to vacate their seats for the Americans, and if they refused to do this, they were very badly treated. Okay, other kind of example is given that the African Americans had separate lunch counters than the original Americans or the white people. Okay, and there were separate schools for Americans and a separate school for African Americans. The African Americans were not allowed to study in the same school in which the common Americans or the white people were studying. They had a different school from the African Americans have had different school. Okay, and the white or the common American people, they had different school to study. They were not allowed to mix with the whites. The African Americans were not allowed to mix with the white people. Okay. In order to fight for equality, the civil rights movement began in USA in 1950s, in which they demanded equal rights and to end racial discrimination. Okay. So in order to fight for equality, in order to fight for the civil and political rights of the African Americans, the civil rights movement began in United States of America in 1950s. In 1950s, during the time of 1950s, the civil rights movement started, and the African Americans demanded equal rights, and they demanded to end the racial discrimination, the discrimination on the basis of race, on the basis of skin color. Okay, so this movement was initiated on 1st December 1955. So when was this movement started? This movement was started on 1st December 1955 with the incident that happened with Rosa Parks, who was an African American. Okay, so the incident, it started on 1st December 1955. The incident started with an African American whose name was Rosa Parks. And what happened to her? She was tired from a long day work at she was tired from a long day at work, so she refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white man on 1st December 1955. So what happened? On 1st December 1955, she was traveling in a bus, and she was very tired on that day, and one American came there. The American told her to give her seat. Okay, but she refused that to give her the seat, to give that person the seat, because she was very tired and she was really in need of the seat, and she was very badly treated. Okay, for refusing to give the seat, the lady Rosa Parks was very badly treated. Okay, her refusal that day started a huge agitation against the unequal ways in which African Americans were treated, and this came to be known as civil rights movement. Okay, her refusal that day. So the refusal of that lady, it started a huge agitation against the unequal ways which African Americans were treated, and this came to be known as the civil rights movement. So this gave a burn to the rights, to demand the rights for the African Americans. Okay, it became an you can say fire. Okay, it became a starting point through which the African Americans demanded equal rights. They demanded equal civil and political rights, and this came to be known as the demand of equal rights. The demand of equal civil and political rights, irrespective of racial discrimination, became to be known as civil rights movement. Okay, and Martin Luther King Jr. was an inspiration to the people during the American Civil Rights Movement, and he showed his followers the path of non-violence, peaceful resistance in opposition to black domination. And Martin Luther King Jr. was a leader of the African Americans, okay, and he was an inspiration to them, who played a very important role in civil rights movement, okay. And Martin Luther King Jr. showed his followers the path of non-violence. He showed the path of peaceful resistance to them. in opposition to the black domination. Okay. Now, through the struggle of the black people, Civil Rights Act came into force in 1964 AD. So finally, the African Americans were um, they they were successful in getting rights for themselves, and finally in 1964, Civil Rights Act came into force, which banned the following things. See, number one, it banned discrimination on the basis of race, religion, or national origin. So it banned the now from when this act was passed. So the people were not it gave the people, it told the people not to discriminate the other people on the basis of race, religion, or national origin. Okay. Number two, all schools were open to African American children also, and they no longer had to attend separate schools specially set up for them. So earlier, as we have discussed in this video only, that the African Americans, they had to go to a separate school. They were not allowed to go in the same school in which the whites were studying. Okay, so when in this act this thing was abolished, and the common schools in which the whites were studying, okay, it was open for everybody. So now the African American children were also given the rights to get their self educate in that in those schools also. So now they no longer need to go to a separate school. Okay. Number three, all citizens, whether whites or non-whites, were equal before law and enjoyed equal protection of law. And now in this act, everybody, whether they were whites or whether they were non-whites, okay, they all were given equality before law. They all were given equality, and they enjoyed equal protection of laws. So this was the civil rights movement, which civil rights, we have discussed about the civil rights also, that civil rights is a right which are necessary to ensure the people's ability to participate in civil and political life of people without any discrimination. Okay, and it also includes equal treatment of people irrespective of the social, economic, or political background. Okay, and we have discussed the civil rights movement which started in USA on 1st December 1955 by Rosa Parks, and slowly in 1964 AD, a Civil Rights Act came, which protected the rights of the African Americans in America. Okay, so here we have completed the first chapter of democracy, and if you have any doubt, so you can ask me on WhatsApp, and whatever I say, that after watching this video, you have to attempt the multiple choice questions, which is in a form of online test. Okay, and after attempting the online test, you have to solve the worksheets, which is and which is given in your curriculum menu only, and you have to send the photo of that homework in the class WhatsApp group, and I'll be checking that homework in that. Okay, and very soon we'll be starting the live classes also. With these online video lectures, we'll be starting the live classes also, in which students can discuss anything if they have any doubt. Okay, so in the next class, the chapter is complete. In the next class, I'll be giving you the synopsis. I'll be giving you the exercises of the this chapter, which has to be solved in the fair copy, which has to be mentioned in the, which has to be written in the fair copy. Okay. By the time, as this is the Corona time, so stay safe, stay healthy, and don't go out during the lockdown. And take care of yourself. Take care of your family also. Bye. We will meet in the next video.